ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि. So after offering his prayers to that absolute Brahman, now he goes on to Narayana, the one who has given him that knowledge of that absolute Advaita Darshanam was given to him by Narayana. So he says to that Lord, my prostrations. And what? Jnanena akashakalpena dharman yo gaganopama jneya bhinnena sambuddha tam vande. One who has understood that the jnatra, jnana, jneyam are all abhinnam, are not different from each other. What is it that who is the jnadra? The one who is the kshatrajna, is the jnapti swarupa atma. Jnanam, the knowledge of everything, and jneyam, that which has to be known, understood, the whole world of plurality which is represented by the word dharma there, jivas, or all the whole entire world of plurality are all not bhinnam. They are not different. So, just now I was talking to Daksha about this, that Gaudapada Acharya is seeing from the highest level and says there is nothing different. Here we have never used the word Atma Anatma Vivekam. Vivekam is used, but not Atma and Anatma, because so far as he is concerned, there is nothing, no Anatma at all. Atman itself appearing as this whole world of plurality. Abhinnam, that jnadritneya jnana vibhinna abhinnam atman. In other words, Atman itself is the jnanam, Atman itself is the jnadra, Atman itself is the jneya. Have you understood? Jnana jneya abhinnam came before, so you know it. That to that absolute reality, my prostrations. Narayanakhya, and when it is reflected in that idol in Badri, we call him Narayana, Badri Narayana, or Narayana Rishi, who had given him the darshanam according to the legend, and had given him this knowledge to his teacher. The teacher is God himself. To that Narayana, my prostrations, he says. Now, in other words, this upasaka, upasya, bedam is not there. In this upasana, there is no upasya, upasaka, bedam. Then how upasana can be done? Aham, soham bhavena pujayet. Soham bhavena. That which I am worshipping is me, myself. No I, no that. No this and no that. This itself is that. In that bhavana is doing upasana shrido dharmaha and all it is said in the previous verses. How can the jiva be identical with the Brahman? Jiva is not identical. Jiva is very limited. Is it not? Then how can jiva be identical. In its essential nature, it is not different from Brahman. That is how Sukshma Rupa, in its Sukshma Rupa, it is Brahman only. It itself appears as Jiva, or it doesn't appear, that is a different thing. But in case you think there is a Jiva, that Jiva is nothing but the reflection of Brahman. What? You have some doubt? Is it clear? So, Abhinnam. If at all there is, you are seeing a Jiva, that Jiva is on the Paramatma, and we have also learned something before, that mind also is Abhinnam. Mind also is not Abhinnam. Why? By mind substratum is Atman only. He is talking only about oneness, not difference. Let us take it that first. Then only all these verses become meaningful to us. So, in other words, all the previous sadhanas are over. Sadhana Chadushtaya, all that is over. Now I am a Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi, Shatka, Sampatti. Mumukshutva is not there at all. There is nothing to get moksha. Why? Why? Na utpatti, na bandhaha, na mokshaha. That state, from that state is he talking. Because mumukshu, the one who wants to attain moksham, is the one who thinks he is bound. Even that is so transcended, then what are you? I am not a mumukshu, na muktaha. That verse is very, very important in the Advaita Prakaranam. Not Advaita Prakaranam. Is it Advaita Prakaranam? I am not a mumukshu also. I am not a mukta also, because I am that. You understand? I have nothing to gain, nothing to give up. Where did we say? Yesterday. Naheyopadeyam. Okay. Now he prostrates to the wonderful idea that he has given in the last chapter, Asparsha Yoga. What is Asparsha Yoga? I have no contact with the seeming world of plurality. Sparsha Rahidam. Sparsham, touch. No touch yoga. And that is very beautifully Gurudev says, no touch. Asparsha means no touch. I am not connected to it. I am not no way connected to it. Because it is not there. It is a midhya projection. So read that. Asparsha yogo vai nama sarva sattva sukho hitaha avivado viruddhascha deshidastam namamyaham. I prostrate to that upadesha, that Asparsha Yoga. And what is Asparsha Yoga? We have already elaborately done it in the last chapter, that the Brahman has no contact. Contact means there only that I am not affected by the tragedies, comedies, tragic comedies of this. Okay? Asparsha, I am not touched. So you say, no, I am so unhappy, the mind says. Then you say, be unhappy. I am not affected. Do you dare to say? Immediately you identify with the mind. But here he says that you stand as that. Don't become identified with any of these. Then you say, my body is now falling off. Let it fall off. One day it has to fall off. Better early than never. Better now. You understand? That type of a uninvolved witnesshood. It's called Asparsha Yoga. And why we should practice this? With the worldly Vishayas, I have no touch. Untouched by them. Untouched by their sukha dukkhas. Untouched by their labha, alabha, jaya, apajaya. No, I am not touched. I do my work. Whatever comes, comes. Doesn't come, that's also good. Understand? A sort of udasinavad. Udasinaha. But I do my work. Nowhere Vedanta says you shouldn't do your work. You must do your work and do it with 100% efficiency. But what comes out of that work? Whatever comes, it is okay. If you have that type of attitude, what will happen? Sukham. You are a happy person. But if you are before you start the work only, you decide what I should get. Then what will happen? Disappointment. Those who have appointments with anything, they have disappointment. Then disappointment, sorrow, loss, everything will happen. And Sukha, and one who understands this Asparsha Yoga, he says, he is Yogo Vainama, this relationless relationship with the world of objects, emotions and thoughts. What is the relationship with that? Atman has no relationship. But Atman can be without any of these. That is the Asparsham. Atman can be there without any other objects in it. But the objects cannot be without that adhishthanam. These have dependent existence. That is independent of everything. That is the difference. It is asparsham, not touched. So, everything is in me, I am not in them. In the 9th chapter. Every being, everything is in me. Because without my adhishthanam, they don't have existence. I am the existence principle. So without me there, they have no existence. They are dead bodies. You understand? This is jadavastus. All this that the world has is jadavastu. Minus that, there is only zero. Plus that, all are heroes. I know better than Atman now. Why? Because I have learned Mandukya also. That is the attitude we have. Some people, it will increase the ego, not decrease. We have to be very, very careful about this ego fellow. So he says here, Nama sarva sattva sukho hitaha. It is sukhavam. It is sukham for everybody and it is beneficial to everybody. This practice of Asparsha Yoga by us will make us all always happy. In all other things they say, you pray to the Lord for what? Then you pray, all my sorrows should come to an end. So Bhagavan will bring your sorrows to an end. And then I will be happy. And sometimes he becomes a little deaf. Who? Bhagavan. Then your sorrows continue. Asparsha Yoga is not like that. I have taken an attitude of refusing to suffer. That is Asparsha Yoga. Sukha dukkha's come to all of us. But that I suffer them or enjoy them as per my choice. If you want to enjoy, you enjoy. Some people even enjoy sorrow because all the time they will say, I am happy when I am unhappy. You can't do anything. mentally sick people. Okay, so sarvabhuta hideradaha. Elsewhere in the Gita it comes sarvabhuta hitam. And whatever, by following this method, what will happen? Sarva sattva sukha hitaha. It gives sukham to everyone, and it is hitakaram. Sukho hitaha avivado. And there is no vada about it. Asparsha yoga had no vada. Why? That can be practiced by anybody. Dvaidi, Advaidi, Vishishta Advaidi, Shuddha Advaidi. I don't know what all Advaidis are there. All of them can practice Asparsha yoga, because in certain main aspects of our philosophy, all the Advaitas are alike. Only in certain points they are different. The Sankhya's are different from Vedantins. The Vishishtadvaidins is different from Shuddhadvaidis, like that. We don't have to study all that. It is a mere baggage of information. Don't collect information and make your head grow like the punch head. That is not. When you study, that knowledge which does not take you to the highest is no knowledge at all from Vedantic standpoint. Yadaksharam adhigamyade. That alone is knowledge. So you read only that type of knowledge, that type of books, not any book and every book. I get some information. So what are you going to do with that information? Like knowing how many systems of philosophy is there. Okay, generally we know there are 6 systems of philosophy. Now each one you study in depth. What for? To do vada, nothing else. Why you should study? It is not going to take you to the higher even by one, because none of the Dvaitavadas are going to take you there. There is no point. Just leave them alone. That is their stand, that is all. But once I have understood the validity of our stand, those do not matter at all. Okay, then aviruddhascha, and doesn't oppose anybody. Because for the Vedantin, all are valid only. Okay, it is their way of looking at things. Their attitude is different. But they are not different from me. You understand why they are aviruddham? Because they are all me, myself. So what to do? I cannot tell them, bugger off, I don't care for you. You can't say. They are me only. Okay, if that pleases you, you hold that view. We have no objection, because Vedanta can, Advaita can contain every point of view. Hence we have no objection, no opposition. Aviruddhade deshidastam namamyaham. And how this he says here, Gaudapada says, this Asparsha yoga is not my creation. Look at the beautiful way in which he says. It is not my creation. It is not my Kapola Srishti. But this is Upadesham. This is advised in the Shastras. They may not have given the word Asparsha yoga, but in reality they have advised you not to become connected to the world of plurality. So what is that? I gave it a name, that is all. What name? Asparsha yoga. Where did you get this name? From the Buddhist literature. Do you understand? So because of these words, people say that is a disguised Buddha. But he is not. He is using proper words which is found there, which will... Now we, like our Gurudev uses so many words to explain Vedanta, the modern. Isn't it? In his own days and time, he had the Buddhist literature in vogue, and from that he has taken the prevalent words which are known to the people at large. So we can't call him Buddhist like that. Now because beautiful English words are coined by Gurudev, we can't call he is a Christian. These words are in the Christian literature, so he is a Christian. Can we say? We cannot say. You understand? So it is only these. There are some vadis who want to pull down real genius down and establish themselves as the genius. Such people are there even in those days, not only now. So dangerous, you know. You go for doing your PhD and all in America, and if the student's dissertation is better than the teacher says, this is written by me, you must say. They steal. Even now, it's very difficult sometimes for the Indian students. That's wrong. That is not truth. Okay. And Shastra has done the Upadesha of that yoga, I prostrate, because it will relieve you for all samsaric sorrows, and you come to the Samata Gadam. You come to that equanimity of mind in Sukha Dukkhe Samaye Krutva Labha Labhau Jaya Jayau. That Samatvam Yoga Uchyade. All these words are there in the Gita. This Samatvam is Asparsha Yoga. So in here I may go through Sukha, I may go through Dukkha, I may go through tragedies and comedies. Everything will happen, but I am equal in both Sukha and Dukkha. That is called Asparsha Yoga. To that knowledge, my prostration. That particular way of approaching Paramatma, I offer my pranams, because that is the saving, practice, which will give you freedom in what you are doing. Freedom in action, not freedom from action. Freedom from action means you go to the Himalayas and sit in a cave. Freedom in action means I am in the marketplace, working 20 out of the 24 hours, but free. Why free? No, asparsha. I am not worried what is going to come out of my work. I just do work because it is to be done. Somebody has to do, and I do. That's all. Continuing. Budasya jadimichandi vadina keji devahi abhudasya pare dhiraha vivadanta parasparam. Some vadis budasya jadimichandi. Some vadis, particularly the Sankhyans. Who are those vadis? The Sankhyans says they are Satkarya vadis. Satkarya means? Have you heard that? Satkarya vadi, Satkarya Khadi it is called. Khadi vadas. Now what is Satkarya vada? That what from a existent thing alone can something be born. From a non-existent zero, nothing can be born. This is called Satkarya and Asatkarya Vada. Now, Satkarya Vadi, some of the Vadis are Sankhyans, and they say, whatever is there already, that alone is again come in the form of existence is there in all the things that are seen. Even in that mrija, in that mithya world, there is one thing which is permanent, and that is existence. You see it. See it means what? As real. The reality somewhere is there. What is the reality? The adhishtanam is the reality, not the vivartam. Vivartam means illusory appearance. That is not real, but adhisthanam is real, is it not? So, from a existing thing only, a non-existent world also can come from a existence because it is only an appearance, which Shankaracharya calls vivartam, vivartavadam. Kinchid abhudam, but there are others, Vaisheshikas and Nayayikas, the other sets of philosophers, who say, no, it comes from asat karyam. Asat karyavadis. From the asat vastu, from a non-existent thing only, this existing universe is appearing. How can that? It's absolutely illogical, unacceptable. Is it not? There is nothing, but I am seeing a mango tree on it. How can you see your hand? The eyes must be something wrong. You understand? From a nothing, nothing alone can come. Are you following the Vada? I am not going to explain further and all, because if I start explaining this, next year we will finish. So, since you don't have that type of time, I also don't have. Now, from a non-existent something, nothing can come out. And they quarrel, not that Advaita is going and saying, hey, you are wrong, he didn't say. But they both are fighting. Paraspara vadam. They fight with, they argue with each other. That's what is dedicated to negate the So they argue among themselves. And how do they argue? He says here, Anyonyam vivadanti. They, instead of their approaching Advaita and facing them, they quarrel among themselves. Because among these Dvaitavadas, there is always Ragadvesha. When will you quarrel? Ragadvesha is there. Ragadvesha is there. Because everybody wants to hold on to their own view. They are not ready to accept the truth at any cost. Which we have seen, if you see the history of our religious philosophies in India also, you will see so much of Ragadvesha. The Vaishnavite cannot say the word Shiva. For them it is Ashiva. If you say, you understand. And the Shaivites hate Vishnu. Vishnu temple, near about they won't go. Let alone going inside the temple. But nowadays everything is, because neither Shiva nor Vishnu for the modern, the God itself is not there for many modern people. So it's okay. Some temple, nearby temple. Those days, in the Middle Ages and all, they used to fight among themselves. And I forgot the words and all now, but I heard one poem which says Parvati and Lakshmi had a big fight, I believe. That is one poem that somebody has made. That Parvati said, hey, your husband always dressed up like, what is this? Is he a dandy? Like that. Full ornaments and always keep very rich. He is not a god at all. And then she said, then why he should be like your husband? On a old bullock he walks around and there is only one snake for ornament. What is it? Pichakari. Beggar. Like that. And very nice that poem is. You should have written it down sometime. Long ago I heard this. And they were fighting among themselves. And the followers of Vaishnavites and Shaivites also fight like this only. Meaningless. So here he says, they are Anyonyavadam, Parasparam. So both will say, no, Satkaryavadam is correct. And then the other fellow will say, no, Asatkaryavadam is correct. Even as great as a teacher as Madhvacharya had contributed to Asatkaryavada. And now, having said that, he says, Bhutam na jayate kinjit abhudam naiva jayate vivadanto dvaya hevam ajadim kyapayanti te. So, now Vedanthin is the referee to both of them. What do you call? Umpire. Okay. That is in the cricket, but in this cricket also there are some umpire. And who are they? The Vedanthin. And they give the judgment. What is it? Bhudan na jayade kinchit. What is already born cannot be born again. It's already there. When do you say there is birth? When in form and name something is not there and it attains a form and name, we call it. It is born. It is created like that. It should not be there before. You understand? Then only we can say it is born. Otherwise we cannot say. Why should one which is born already, why should it be born again? Born again is only in Christian philosophy, not. We don't have that. So it cannot be Bhudan na jayade. That which is already born, that which kinjit, which is already there, cannot be born again. It doesn't have janmam again. This we may question all this. I am not questioning now, but you will question, I know. Then how do we punarjanmam? Again, punarjanma also, he never says a word. He has not said anything about it. He says, that which is already there need not be born again. Creation, they explain as something, prag abhavam is there now, and after death it is called uttara bhavam. After death it is again not there. Prag abhavam is there. Before it was not there, now it is there. Ada vandauja, that is the only verse which says, which was not there in the beginning, not there in the end, then how can it be now? Vartamanebi? No. Have you understood? So he says, that which is already there will not be born. So, oh Sangyan, your philosophy is muck. We don't accept it. We don't accept it. Okay? And that which is not there cannot be born again. Now, let us see. Sadvadis, they are called Sadvadis. That Asat is taking birth, those who say they are called Asadvadis. How they paraspara ghandanam, when a thing is always there, ever existent reality, what reason has it to be born again? That is there at all periods of time, is it not? When we say Satkaryavadam, it is there ever. In the Chandogya Upanishad, the Rishi says that one Sat only was there from beginningless time and endless time. It alone is there. Why should it be born again? So to say that Satkaryam, this is the Vada of the Nayayikas and Vaisheshikas. Because they are holding on to the view that only that which is not there is born. Somewhere there is an element of truth in both. Otherwise, they cannot hold on to these views. And he says, again and again it is coming into existence is not correct. Thus, Asadvadis deny, reject the Sankhya Paksha. Sankhya's stand is rejected by the Asatkaryavadis. And the Sankhyans also reject the Asatkaryavadis by saying Asat Vastu can never be born because Nasado Vidyade Bhavam. Asada Bhavam cannot be there. Nasado Vidyade Bhavaha Na Bhavo Vidyade Sataha. Sataha Abhava Na Vidyade. Because it is always there. You understand? So you cannot say now newly it is born. How can it be? It is there from beginningless time to endless time. So all our idea of avatar, avatar and all is not correct. Not our idea. If it is comfortable to you, you keep. We are not saying no. But we are now crawling towards truth. So all these problems. Suppose otherwise at any level you are right. You understand? When you say there is avatar, what has happened to Hinduism is all these theories they are made into one khichdi and given to the people. And the poor people naturally they get so confused. So the only thing they do is go to the temple and say Bhagavan. Whichever temple, it doesn't matter. And if they didn't understand anything, they go to church. For them, that is all religion means. We have never made it easy for them by making them understand. In this caste Hindu, whatever. What happened is, you never gave this knowledge to the poor. Knowledge in, though Shankaracharya and Vyasa Bhagavan has given us all the material, but we have not used it. All stories are Vedantic in the Puranas. Okay, those who cannot understand Vedanta, they can be interpreted as also nice stories of Bhagavan's play, Bhagavan's sports. That also can be done. For the sake of whom? For the sake of the uneducated section of the society. Because we have never used it and we have put them as the untouchables. And then what happened? We have weakened Hinduism. By this stupid method, though they are Hindus, they are not Hindus. Like that it has become. Have you understood? Even now, even we are not doing anything much to bring up the poorer section. Because our Guru was only teaching the educated, we also are teaching only the educated. Whom should we approach? The uneducated and who don't know anything about our religion. When I go, the rare times when I have gone to the village, I am always surprised at their curiosity, their desire to know about God. So that it is not possible. Sankhya Paksha is rejected. How can a thing like a rabbit's horn, which is non-existent, how can it take birth? That which is not there, from that nothing can come out. Shashavishana. So thus Sankhyans reject the stand of the Asadvadis. The Sadvadis reject the Asadvadis reject the Sadvadis. So, thus, this Paraspara Yuddha, as it were, they are doing us a favor, says Gaudapada. These two people who are opposed to each other in their stand, they are only helping the Advaitin. Advaitin, without telling a word, establishes his own stand. That is very clever. What he is saying? By denying Satjanma and Asatjanma, Advaitin says, you are only strengthening our viewpoint, nothing is born. You see, if from Satkarya also nothing is born, Asatkarya also nothing is born, then what is the truth? The truth is what we are saying, and that is, nothing is ever born. Okay? And thus, because they are fighting, we have become Prabala. Our stand has become strengthened. Our opponents are fighting among themselves and killing themselves. So the onlooker has become very strong. As says, this is what we have been telling from time immemorial. Nothing is born, no jiva is born, no world is born. But you have established it by your arguments. Thus the Advaitin gets a mileage. What is the word used? Mileage after these two people fighting against each other. Okay. I hope this is not difficult to understand, so you have understood. Khyapyamana majadim tair anumodamahe vayam vivadamo nadai sardham avivadam nibodada. Khyapyamana majadim. They are making it clear. Vishadigarana. Khyapyamana means expressing, they bring to your understanding what? Ajadi. They are only talking about, by their mutual conflict, what are they bringing out as the truth? Then no jadiyat. Ajadi. That's what they are doing now. By their arguments and their vada prativadas, what is clear now? Nothing is born. Either from Sat or from Asat. That's what Vedanta says. And Anumodaya, we congratulate you both, he says. Anumodaya means we congratulate you both because you are helping us to hold on to our stand. This is our stand. And you are only supporting it. So shouldn't we congratulate you? Anumodayama. Anumodayama he means congratulate. Vayam. And we have no quarrel with you. Na vivadamo. Na vivadamo means we have nothing against your stand. Because your stand is making our stand very clear. Okay. Taisartham na vivadaha avivadam nibodhada. And only thing is, you also know what is that avivadam, truth. That truth, Paramatma Satyam Nibodhada. Please understand what is it that cannot be rejected is Advaitam. Advaitam cannot be rejected. And you also understand that truth. You have helped us to establish our viewpoint, but actually Advaita is not a viewpoint. Advaita is truth. Viewpoint is only when you are having your interpretation. And we are not having an interpretation of anything. We know there is nothing to discuss about it because it is the truth. And why don't you understand? Why are you getting into this type of arguments? Like that, very benignly they are asking the Dvaitavadin. Okay. Avivadam. Vivada Rahida Paramatma Darshanam. Please understand Nibodhata. In our stand, there is no Vadam. Because what we say is the truth. Then after it is the truth, what Vadam can be there? I am a tall person and I say I am short. Then there is a Vivadam. Why? At least 5 people from this side, 5 people from that side. So what is your definition of tall? Is it not? And all types of questions will come. From our standpoint, you are short. Like that they will say. Then they will quarrel among themselves. But the truth is, he is tall. Wonder somebody says he is tall. And he is tall. Is there any vivadam in that? In truth, there is no opposition. But when you make the truth, in Malayalam we say, when you make it all crooked, then there is vada. So who are the vadis? Who don't know the truth. This will be nice for you all to know. Who are the vadis? One who doesn't know the truth. In fact, when you know the truth, you become more and more silent. It's not an arguable matter at all. It is the truth. Okay. Khyapyamanamajadindairanumodamakevayam. Therefore, we congratulate our opponents. Because of their help, we could establish our stand very strongly. Okay. Ajadasyaiva dharmasya jadimichandi vadinaha ajado hemrudo dharmaha martyadam kathameshyadi. All these thoughts have come in the Advaita Prakarana, but he is only repeating it. That's why I am also not going very much into discussion of that. We have already discussed. Ajadasyaiva dharmasya jadimichandi vadinaha. These vadis, they say that which has no janma, ajadaha. Ajadaha, ajadavadam. Meaning, at no time Atman was born. But they say, from this unborn cause, the whole world has come out. Whether as karyakarana or as parinama, whether as a modification or as cause-effect. And Gaudapada cannot accept cause-effect relationship in Brahman. What is cause-effect? Brahman is the cause, world is the effect. So then the Vadis ask a question, if Brahman is the cause and world is the effect, according to the laws of causation, cause in another form is effect. Is it not? How can then, if Brahman has become this world, then Brahman has disappeared. Is it not? If the seed has become the tree, then the seed has disappeared. You know it. Similarly, Karyakarana Vadam, he just puts it in the waste paper basket. Garbage. That Vadam does not apply because it is ever existing reality. Nothing happens to it. So it cannot be this world. This is Anityam Asukham Martyam world. The world which comes and goes. The world which is born in time. Is it not? But that is beyond time. It is all bliss. This is ever Dukkhakar, Asukham, Anityam, and it is not eternal, that is eternally present. How can this be this? How can from this something like this come out? It cannot come out. Look at the arguments they put. How jadim ichchandi. They are asking ajadasya iva dharmasya. Here dharma does not mean jiva, but dharma means atma here. That which is unborn. Shashwadam ajam nitya shashwadoyam puranaha. From that atman, from that, its dharma is what? Existence is its principle. Satchidananda is its dharma. Whose? Atma's dharma. Atma dharma is what? Satchit Ananda. From that Satchidananda, how can a world which is perishable and perishing, changing, it cannot come out. So, Karya Karanavadam we don't. Okay, then we will act. Or maybe that has become the world. Not that it has come out of it. Karya Karanam we don't know. No, it has become Parinama. Parinamavadis there. Parinamavadi says it is only a modification of Brahman. First of all, Brahman doesn't have modification. Why? Now you must say the answers like this. Otherwise, what is the use of teaching? What is the nature of Brahman? Nirvikaraha. Nirvikara Brahman, how can it be have Vikaravan? Parinamam requires modification. Is it not Vikaram? In Brahman is there Vikaram? Brahman there is no Vikaram. In the born, whatever is the Karyam, there is Vikaram. I am born in this world, I have got the Shadvigaras. 6 Vikaras. But in Brahman there is no Vikara. You are saying a Nirvikara Brahman modified itself to become the world. Modification is not possible in Brahman. Okay? So, do we accept Parinama? No. Not only that, if the milk modifies and becomes curds, what happens to milk? Gone. So do you mean to say after world came out, Garbha was there and Prasavam happened and then the mother died? According to you. It's not possible. That Parinamam is not acceptable. It's not logical. So why it is not logical? Because it said in the Shruti, Brahman is always Nirvikara. And Brahman is eternal. So you cannot accept Nasham of Brahman by modification. Or Nasham of Soda Nasham, remember in the Advaita Makaranda? Advaita Makaranda, it says Soda Nasham, by itself it will not die. Or by another cause in the world it cannot die. Soda Nasham, Anya. I forget the words now, but verse is there. No, not from Gita. Advaita Makaranda. It says there are so many types of nasham for an object. By itself it will die, or by attacking from some other, or by the 5 elements it will die. All these nashas are not possible in Brahman. So we cannot accept, Shruti will not accept the one and only infinite reality to concede that it can die at any time. It is not acceptable. So there is no Parinamavada. Ajadasya iva dharmasya jadimichchandi vadina. And the Vadis say, Bhagavan himself has become all this. That means Bhagavan has undergone modification to become all this. So what is all this? Bhagavan appearing as, which the Vedanti never accepts. No. Then what is it we are seeing? So we coined another word. What is that? Vivartam. What is this I am seeing? Vivartam means only appearance. Reality is not. How they have brought that idea in all these Vadas you can see. It is only an appearance. Because it could not have come by Karyakarana like in every other object. Nor can it come by Parinama. These are the only two methods by which creation is possible in the world. And another third thing is, if at all it has created this world, then with what did he create? For every creation, material is required. For every creation, not only material, knowledge also is required. Suppose you want to make a pot, you must have what all things? The clay should be there. That or clay should be processed. Not merely clay take from there and become a pot, it won't. Water has to be added and nicely kneaded like chapati. Otherwise you can't make a pot. And a potter should be there. Nimitta karanam should be there. Upadana karanam, material cause. Nimitta karanam should be there. And mere potter, you kept one fellow there and said you make pot now. That potter should be an expert potter. If you want your money's worth from the money you are spending on creating something, then you must find the proper work of rule number 1. An expert. So that you get your money's worth. You bring a third-rate, fourth-rate worker. What will you get? Before he goes through that door, it would have collapsed. Okay, there, it is not possible. So but I am seeing a world and it has got saprayojanada and it is, lot of arguments you put in from the Vaidya Prakaranam. Then you say, that is true, the world is useful to me. All that is there. But only thing is, it is not real. Sometimes an appearance also can give you some benefit. If I see the sun rising in the east and setting in the west, which never happens, it is unreal. But I get beautiful scenery. Does it look like as though it is not there? It is there. Only thing is, it is not moving at all. But I am seeing it is moving. There is no rising or setting. That is the truth. And truth is sometimes very bitter, no? Jadi, ajadaha, that which has no janmam, it is amrto dharmaha. It has no death either. That which is not born cannot die. Amrtaha, immortal it is. So, martyadam kathameshyadi, how can it become mortal? How can you make an immortal something into a mortal something? At least you can say mortal becomes immortal. For poetry, not reality. Poetry we say mortal, at that level when realization takes place, mortal becomes immortal. Mortal will never become immortal. Immortal alone will become immortal. Please remember that. The teacher might go eloquent and tell you all that. But you must also take it with a pinch of salt. How can mortal? Mortal means martyatvam, mrida swabhavaha. How can an object which has got the swabhava of being mridam, how can it become immortal? It cannot become. Then what becomes immortal? The immortal in you will become, the immortal in you will know it is immortal. That is all. That is called realization. Ajam. In this it came, previous. Ajameva ajam jana. Ajena ajam. Something is there. Only the unborn can know the unborn. Ajam. Vibudhyate. That word only I must. Ajena ajam vibudhyate. So who is realizing? Not the jiva. Not you. Jiva also Mattida is there. Jiva will disappear one day. Jiva not there. Then who is knowing? That consciousness in you knows consciousness. Very beautiful verses are here in this, which are very, what can I say, which gives you a light of knowledge. And I liked the method he has adopted. All types of, so many things have been added to, because it is a 5,000, 6,000 year old philosophy, not 20-year-old philosophy like in the West. Philosophy keeps on changing there because it's not talking about the truth. But in India it never changes, the same philosophy. Krishna also studied this only. Because according to Gurudev, Krishna is also a realized man, that's all. He says he has no fear of anything. Gurudev is fearless. Abhayam. What will Bhagavan Krishna think if you say all this? Like that we get frightened. He went to Tirupati one day with his devotees from Madras. And when they went there, those pujaris there said, we will allow Swami to come and have darshan, but all these people have to stand in the queue. Then what did he say? Then I am also not coming. He went back over to the room and slept off. Can you imagine? What a abhayam. See, one who is carrying that Paramatma within him, knowing it intimately, what is he afraid of? Will we dare doing it? Going to Tirupati and coming back without seeing the Lord? Then whatever happens, you get a cold, you will associate it with not seeing the Lord. Everything that happens to you, some tragedy took place or some this thing took place. I told you then itself you should not do this type of things. Gandhi is always not. And what I try to tell you is what he taught, he lived that type of life. What he taught, he lived, which many people can't do. They say something on the pulpit, but outside they are different. So never afraid that Ayodhya, this thing came, and in Trivandrum was the meeting here. Yajna was in Trivandrum for Gurudev. Then the people there were so afraid, don't go for the Yajna today, we don't know what will happen. He said, I am going. He said, and he just sort of dismissed them and went and said what he has to say. So what is there if so many people will die? All of us will go to heaven together. But we must say there is a cause. If we keep quiet, we have kept maunam for too long. These are the words he used. And hence everybody thinks we have nothing, we are such a puny people, which are timid people, so they sit on our head. I mean, if you want to interpret it as, it's a very provocative speech, but sometimes a provocative speech only will do the trick, otherwise it won't. Nobody did anything. They were simply afraid. Gurudev was never afraid. This abhayatvam is there in him. He is not afraid of anybody. I have my views and I will air it. Whether you like it or not, I don't care. You cannot say he is against any community or anything like that. But when we should not be weak people, that was one thing he had always emphasized. We should be strong people and don't do anything harm to anybody, whatever community they are. Don't harm anyone, because ahimsa is our dharma. We don't harm. But why it happened there? Because they were simply non-defying something or other, and it happened. It's an unfortunate thing, I agree. That we in this country, we have to learn to live in amity. There is no other way. Otherwise, we simply, shed innocent blood. That is not correct. But if you don't know, and every time you are at the receiving end, someday even a worm should wake up and show, no, I am here. Don't think I am always there for you to kill. When you are strong, nobody will attack you. When you are weak, everybody will attack you. So his philosophy, and during the time when he was doing when he was growing up as the mission here, we had two wars, the Chinese war and the Pakistan. At that time he said these words, which are sort of, we should not fight from the standpoint of strength, not from the standpoint of weakness. You should not become weak. Then nobody will respect you. Now also we are weak only. We never tell our views. We are, all others are communal. We are all communal people. Who is saying? Hindu only. Nobody else says. But we say. When I read that Vamadeva Shastri's book, Why I Became a Hindu. He is an Englishman who became Hindu. And he has become a Shastri. He has studied the Vedas. See the commitment of these people. And in a small book which is in the library, Why I Became a Hindu. And the first page itself he writes, I really don't know why the Hindus are their own critics. Because such a great culture, such a great religion, such a great philosophical system, why are they criticizing themselves? Because they are weak. Understood? Don't be weak. Vedantika has no business to be weak. That is not to say go and kill everybody. That is not the idea also. We live in peace with everybody. But nobody should touch us on the wrong side. That is all. Then only we can live in peace here. This is a fact. You will know. Gurudev had told us this. Unless you strengthen your stand and strengthen yourselves and bring out the glory of your culture, you cannot survive. I am not talking from politics. I wanted to tell you how fearless Gurudev was. That is all. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyade Purnasya Purnamadaya पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते.